There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you. All that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
And we are here. You are welcome here. Let's just take a breath in because that is important. Take a deep breath in with me. When you take a deep breath, you remind yourself there's something deeper, something powerful, something magnificent. Magnificent is in charge, is breathing you with or without your permission. You just got to yield to it. It doesn't care if you yield to it. It's going to breathe you. And if you choose not to breathe and hold your breath, if you do a good job, you may be on a different plane. You won't even know. It's always good to take a deep breath. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are at this very moment in time. Thank you for tuning in to yourself, allowing yourself to listen to that inner guidance, and then giving yourself permission to be transformed. If you don't give yourself to be transformed, you'll be tramped on, I mean. That's what I heard. And I was like, let me say it quickly before I forget. You might feel like life is trampling on you. You gotta say yes, you gotta surrender. You don't gotta do nothing. You can resist. Hey, Keisha, how are you doing? But when you co-create, when you cooperate, when you co-dance, when you co-recreate in your recreation, you get to align and join with something so much more, something powerful that you can't even express or define in words. And if you do, it's just you're defining the infinite. And it's fine, because we need language, right? But something in you reminds you that, yes, that something is so much more. I am Ade, your transformational beingness artist. Welcome to another episode of Ade Presents, Being You, the journey back to yourself. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. For those of you on Instagram, you won't see my guest, but if you want to see the guest, you can go to youtube.com/LC Radio. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. This is season 3, episode 7. Today is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. I knew that. And folks are stepping in. They want to sprinkle their black love on us. They want to get a bit of that black loveness. The world needs some black love. I'm telling you. You look at the world today, you know what's missing? Black love. But the healing is happening. Why? Because of black love. We keep pouring it. Like, take a bit of that. You've been missing it. You thought you didn't need it. You thought you were better than it. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this has been happening. Okay, let me stop. Woo-wee. I am a mess and I embrace it. I keep telling you, don't embrace your mess. You miss the message. And if you want to be a messenger, you got to embrace the mess so you can have a message. Sometimes there might be, there might be some messengers out there who don't embrace their mess. And you don't know what their message is. Oh my God. Woo, I'm full of myself and I love it. We are deepening the conversation of this thing called Black Love. We are also inviting you to hang out in the Being You podcast page on Facebook, or you can be on YouTube as well. That's fine. However, you go to the Being You podcast page on Facebook, you can have a more interactive. You won't think we're ignoring you. And it's fine. You don't have to be there. It's just an invitation. And if you're on other pages, maybe this link has been shared on other pages. If you're asking questions or making comments, we won't see it. So if you want us to see your comments and your questions, go to Being You podcast page on Facebook, and then we'll get to it. We'll address all your questions. We're inviting your questions. We're inviting you to be part of it. Being You. It's all about the journey back to yourself. And we're inviting you to take a deeper look at yourself. How do you see yourself? Really, how do you see yourself? How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? And how do you see the world in you? That's right. How do you see the world in you? Because you're the projector, projecting out into the screen of life. So if you don't like what you see, you might need to just say, cut, and rewrite your script. Yes, you got actors and what they call them, extras joining you. On some level, you are all of them. And then on another level, if they're not taking your instructions and they're not reading their script, you got to call them back to yourself. So you can create a movie that honors you, that celebrates you, that acknowledges your existence. We're talking black love. Who's in the chat room? Knock, knock. It's Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca. El Paso, Texas. Yes, where I went through my initiation. Woo, woo, wee. Nice to see you, Rebecca. It's been a long time. Sila. Welcome to see you from Florida. Then we have the whole enchilada lady. Nisi for Nisi. Nice to see you. I like the way I said that. Nisi for Nisi. Don't nobody else say that but me. Nobody can even say it as good as I do. Deidre, it is nice to see you, my sister. She said, black love is our superhero strength. Ooh, wait. Wow, folks are coming out. The woodwork. Keep coming, keep coming. Yes, I love it. Marion, nice to see you from Cali. So good to see you. How are you doing? Jennifer, she said, embrace the mess to have a message. Love it. That's right. If you run for your mess, you ain't got no message. And when you don't got no message, you can't be the messenger. You're like, why am I here? Go embrace your mess, but it stinks. That's the point. If it smells like I can't say that word. If it smells like you have to embrace it to have the shift. Some of us want to just have a shift without embracing the shit. You got to embrace it. What did you say? Rebecca said, wish you would have called me. Called you for what? Oh, I couldn't even call. Rebecca said when I was having my initiation, call her. I didn't even know my own name. I was getting stripped. I couldn't think. I wish I could have called you. Anyway, let's move the show along because I am ready to bring my guest on. Oh, he's rapping, he's rhyming. Damn, I'm good. I'm full of myself. Say it with me, and I love it. I don't know what's going on. All right, announcements. Quickly, if you have a podcast, thinking of starting a podcast, researching what it means to have a podcast, I invite you to check out libsyn.com. That's libsyn.com. Why? Because it's a podcast hosting site. All the shows that I do, it sits on their platform. I have my own copy, and I always recommend that to my client. Always have your copies as well. Every client that I work with have a hard drive, a cloud, whatever. However, whatever, in order to have your, well, there are many ways to do it. But I'll say this. See, I was thinking about keeping this announcement short, and it's already becoming a whole show. What I would say to you is you need a podcast hosting site where your shows live, and they act as a directory that goes to Apple, Google, Spotify, and all the other ones. iHeartRadio and all the other good stuff. So why am I telling you to go to Libsyn? Why am I doing this commercial, this advertisement? Because I want to, and it's my show. Now what? And if you follow my instructions, I might even give you something free. So if you sign up using the promo code, I don't know what's going on, using the promo code ADE, tell them Ade sent you, the king. Look at that crown. You've been anointed. Tell them Ade sent you. Make sure you type it. Don't say Ade sent me. Type ADE. You can get up to 2 months free. So for example, if you sign up today, the 16th, you get the rest of February free and the whole of March. If you sign on the 27th of February this month, you will get 1 day free, just the rest of the month, and March. If you really want to milk it and you don't mind waiting, sign up anytime from the 2nd of the month. Don't sign up on the 1st. If you do, you ain't gonna get nothing. I told you now. All right, libsyn.com, promo code ADE. Wednesday and Thursday morning. So Wednesday in America, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UK time. My dear sister friend and I, Ricky Byers, we host a show called Soul Fulfilling, soulful songs and soulful music. It's a great show. If I say so myself, join us, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 2 a.m. UK time. And all the other time zones, figure it out. Google is your friend. All right? And yeah, that show just has every show that I do has its own kind of unique quality. And if you haven't listened, watched it, you need to check it out this Wednesday. I promise you, you will not be Depressed? Okay. I'm challenging somebody who's feeling depressed. I have a doctor in the house, so just wait, okay? Let me say this real quick. I want to just say thank you to the folks at California Institute of Integral Studies. This past Sunday, Valentine's Day, I presented a session called This Is Me, This Is Us, I Am Here for Love, for the 28 Days of Blackness event. It was absolutely awesome. I presented and I felt like I attended it. You know, that's some good shift. All right, I think that's it. Let me check the chat room and bring my guest on. Mbadi, so nice to see you all the way from Joburg, South Africa. Kwali is in the house. Kwali, I'm so glad you're here because I wasn't going to start the show without you being here, because if you're not here, then there's a problem. All right, I think I got everything. Leslie, I got everything, right? I don't know what I've been drinking. I can't tell you. I feel like I've been injected with some kind of love vaccine, and the side effect is you just get joyful. I don't know. Give me some more of that. All right, let me read. let me get a hold of myself. Let me grab myself and tell myself, sit your down. All right. I have two beautiful people joining me today, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with them. We're talking Black love, we're healing and honoring the whole, and we're going to go deeper. We're going to reclaim the narrative, tell a new narrative, highlight what is great about Black people when we come together and as we come together. And it's nothing new. We know about tenderness. We know about vulnerability. Ain't nothing new. You listen to all the other bullshit, that's all it is, bullshit. You take it and you use it to grow yourself. Manure, that's all. All right, so the first person I'm going to read is Coach Charly. If you don't know her, when you meet her, you'll be like, I know her, because she's just like your kinfolk. She's friendly, she's bubbly, she's so much more. But let me tell you what she has about her bio. Charly Ford, like the car, right? So don't forget, because you're going to need that later for the website. Charly Ford is a world-renowned edutainer, facilitator, and host. She is the creator and executive producer of Use a Fool improv variety. Couldn't wait to say that. Variety comedy show based in Atlanta, Georgia, my other home. Since the pandemic has taken place, she has erupted as a play activist by becoming a founding member of an organization that spreads love and creates connection through play called the Global Play Brigade. If you don't know about them, check it out, attend. You're going to leave feeling so joyful. She spreads her contagious energy by encouraging others as a creative empowerment coach, a children's motivational speaker, published author, and an international improv innovator. She's definitely that. She got energy for days. Her website address is Charly Ford Entertains, not edutains, charlyfordentertains.com. You can find her on Facebook, Charlotte.Ford, CharleTTE.Ford, and she's on IG, Charly Ford Entertains. That's what she does. And she is joined by her beloved. So you know you're in trouble. Double. They're going to, woo! Better brace yourself. Dr. Curtis D. Jasper, a human behavior specialist who uses psycho-emotional, psycho-spiritual, decolonized, non-clinical therapeutic approach to individual therapy. Thank you, Jesus. Group therapy and couples counseling, while specializing in Black men's issue with his own lived experiences. Cultural competency, emotional intelligence, and wellness. Dr. Curt, as is known, is a former award-winning public school educator turned speaker, counseling, psychologist, human behavior and relationship expert, and social scientist, teaching people how to therapize. I think I said that word wrong, but we go with that. You know what I mean. Listen to my heart. How to therapize themselves. He regularly teaches and talks and transcribes his thoughts to the public via social media, podcasts, seminars, books, lectures, webinars, and training and radio shows. He shows up as he is. He is the executive director of I Am International Inc., a worldwide personal development training organization. He works, rests, and play in Atlanta, Georgia. I just wanted to give you a little bit about them. I wanted to read everything, well, not everything that I have, but I wanted to understand who's coming to you, because some folks be forgetting. Some people be getting it twisted. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, psychics and skeptics, physical beings and non-physical beings, help me welcome my friends, Coach Charly and Dr. Curt. I don't know what happened, man. Charly, I think you came to my house, put something in my water, and now, because I'm like, who is this dude? I'm kind of like that sometimes. But.
I felt that, Ade. I felt like I had gave you some dose of energy. So that freaking intro was amazing. You got me on fire over here. Thank you so much for having us.
You're very welcome. What's up, Doc?
What's good, my brother? Good to see you.
Yes, yes, yes. So good to have you two here. Let's jump right on in. So, on Being You, this podcast is about empowering people to cultivate the courage to go back into themselves. Because the school system, society doesn't want us to go inside and really discover and really know who we are. So, and part of the things that help us in really knowing who we are is our lineage. Really understanding that we are part of something bigger, that we have ancestors and people who came before us, and if we start counting, we'll never be able to count it. However, we represent our ancestors with our names. Sometimes some of us change our names. And I feel like our names is a representation of our soul signature. So what I do is ask my guests the meaning of their name or what it means to you. So I'm going to go to Coach Charly. What's the meaning of your names or your name, and what does it mean to you? It may be the same thing.
Okay, well, my name is special to me. It was passed down. My name is Charlotte, and it's French. It's not Charlotte with an O. So when I figured that out, I was like, wee, I'm French. So I like that part about my name. But I was named after my Uncle Charles, who is late and great, but he was a very strong, boisterous man. And that's who my father named me after, my Uncle Charles. I think that my name with the coach attached to it gives me a lot of strength and reminders that I have a wonderful past and a very strong future. But presently, I'm active and I'm here being myself. And I give it to others so freely. So that's what my name means to me.
Did you say your uncle, right? Mm-hmm. His name is Charles.
Yes.
And he's made his transition.
Yes.
Do you feel like you keep his energy alive?
Sometimes I do, especially when I channel certain characters when I act. I use some of his characteristics. So yes, I do think I keep his energy alive also by loving on his wife who is still here. So keep loving my aunt, and she's my favorite aunt. So yeah, I do.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can feel that. Dr. Curtis, do you prefer Curtis or Curt?
Either one. My mother called me Curt. People ask me that all the time. I'm like, when your mama call you Curt.
You better answer.
Right.
So tell us the meaning of your name or names.
So I was born in 1971. My aunt actually suggested my name to my mother because she was at the hospital with my mother. And so I was born in the Curtis Mayfield area, right? And so I consider myself a soulful dude, and if you know anything about Curtis Mayfield, you know how soulful. He was a great musician, a great writer, a great singer, but he epitomized Black masculinity, right? When it was a serious thing. And so I offered to myself to uphold some of those soulful, safe, traditional Black masculine ways of being as I live out loud.
Yes. Thank you. All right, let's just keep going. Let's keep going because we're talking about Black love. We're talking about healing and honoring Black love, the whole. and that could mean different things to different people. You two are in a relationship, a romantic relationship, for how long?
That's a good question.
so 2 years in March. On his birthday, we made it official, but we dated for a whole year. So that was kind of our healing, wholeness, that we were creating space to still be with ourselves, but still show interest in each other. So 2 years, but we dated for a whole year, which was real special to me.
Say more about that. You said it's special to you. Say more.
I think that it was special to me because I wasn't used to dating someone for a whole year without jumping into a relationship right away. When I got with Dr. Curt, I was in the stages of healing on my own, being out of a relationship for a couple of years, and then being able to date him for that year, and him showing his willingness to accept me in my transition of, do I want to jump right into this relationship? Was special to me because he was very patient and nurturing at the same time, still standing his own ground. So I learned a lot about him in that year dating.
So Dr. Curt, what was that like for you that year?
I was actually also transitioning out of a serious relationship. So it was a safe space to me. What was good is that, she was all about fun. And at the time, I didn't know I needed that. So at first I resisted. So she made a point. She sort of was slightly resistant to my seriousness, and I was slightly resistant to her play. And I was like, dude, right, stop. She was like, you're really rigid. And I was like, you play too much. I was like,
that's what I was just thinking. You play too much. You're serious for me.
Laugh, smile, say something.
So we met that balance, and because we actually dated, we were able to kind of stay connected and heal and grow, at the same time. So it worked out.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I do want to ask you your definition of love, how you both individually define love and Black love. But because what you just said there is one of the most important things, how we view one another. And oftentimes we don't really, I'm generalizing it, but sometimes people miss the opportunity to kind of sit with that long enough to dig deeper. So you resisted her playfulness and she resisted your seriousness. And how did you get to the middle ground? How did you get to a place where you individually were able to kind of soften up? Like, maybe I'm playfully serious and maybe I'm seriously unplayful. How did you get to that middle ground?
Well, for me, I just had to pull back and accept, stop the resistance, stop my idea of what it needs to be. I was mostly guarded because I was transitioning. I had already transitioned out of a relationship. And so I had to go back. I had to spend a lot of time alone, just kind of being with myself, realizing that, unconditional love is not a feeling, it's a way of being. So I was able to kind of go back to what I once knew after purging all of my hurt from, some previous relationships. So, and I talked it through. It wasn't easy, but I really just surrendered and went with it, which was one of my first opportunities to go back to trusting myself. I didn't have to trust her. I had to trust me. And so part of that was just go with it. What's the worst it could be? And after just going through it through practice, I was like, this is cool. And so that's how it was for me.
So you were like, this crazy. It ain't so bad after all.
It's funny you mentioned that, Ade, because, we all start off with play. We don't start off with drama and bills and all of that. We start off, at its play. So to go back to the feeling that I had been resistant, because again, Black man living in America on this ambitious achievement trajectory, I stopped playing, right? And I didn't realize that until I got with her. But I criticized. I'm like, dude, you got to knock it off. You need to get serious. Not realizing that I need to become more playful. So it was a blessing for me.
Coach Charlie?
I'm gonna pick up where he said, I didn't realize I need to be more serious. So it was a blessing for me. So I really enjoyed listening to him share that, because I know that it is about allowing now more than ever. I didn't really allow myself to spend a lot of time alone. So when we were dating, I did allow myself to spend more time alone without being busy, without being so active. And I was able to be more rooted and understanding that challenges demand change. And I wanted to do something different. So I was able to take on that challenge of someone who was different from what I've had in the past or from what I wanted them to be. The thing about Dr. Curt that I really admire and still appreciate to this day is that he is sometimes rigid, but at the same time, it's a lesson inside of that. It's like boundaries. And me being so playful and willy-nilly and la 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 la, sometimes it's hard for me to keep my boundaries straight. So that was the seriousness that I added for myself when it became time for us to get serious. And playfully serious.
So, yes. What is one thing you've learned from being serious, from how you used to be to who you are now?
Ooh, so much. Okay, so one thing I've learned from being serious, the transition from who I used to be, is that being serious is vital, especially when it comes to business. Sometimes me being a woman in business, building my own business, sometimes people can mistake me as I'm a joke because I tell jokes. So being the seriousness in my business has been the number one. Woohoo, I'm glad I got that now, because before it was almost like you could think that you're so cool and you're so great and people love you for who you are. But then when you look at the numbers, you're like, these mother effers getting over. And they're laughing at me, even though I'm making them laugh, and I'm entertaining. I'm like, okay, let me be more serious. So the whole sit down, the pandemic, the whole paperwork, all of his structure and experience in business really is able to shine to help me grow.
Yes. So, Dr. Curt, what is one thing you've learned from being more playful?
It's necessary. I think it's the great equalizer from an energy standpoint, right? Just in terms of balance. So I had to go back to one of my classroom teaching days. I started off as a public school teacher in Chicago, and I remember working really hard on balancing the seriousness with playfulness to keep students engaged, right? And I found out that just when I made it an intention, it wasn't that difficult. So after I left from making a living standing in front of children, I just because of life just got really serious, became a parent, things of that nature. So I kind of went back to the essence of, I knew I had some times in my life that I could do both. I just had to go back and remind myself of when that was.
Yes. I believe that we call things into our lives. And as I listen to both of you, I'm wondering if the part of you, Charly, that wanted to be a little bit more serious, focused, called Dr. Curt into your life. And Dr. Curt, the part of you that was like your soul, your spirit, your higher self, whatever name you want to call it, it's like, dude, take it down a notch. Call Charly to your life. And you're like, nah, I ain't ready for that, man. I want to go forward, but I ain't ready to be playing, man. I gotta stay focused. And because what I know for sure is the answers to our prayers is often things that we don't, if we see it the first time we see it, like, nah, that's not what I want.
Right.
And we find out later on that's exactly what we needed in order to move forward, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. You hit that on the ping.
So there's some questions here. I'm going to come back to the question, but I want to highlight something that was said by Deidre. She said, when you were talking about surrendering, that's really mature, the idea of surrendering, to be courageous enough to surrender to yourself and trust yourself first. And, surrender is not just a word, it's a practice. It takes courage, because that means you're willing to let go even while the bridge is swinging. And you got to trust something that you don't even have definition for sometimes to say, I hope it's going to catch me. And it usually does.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't catch us, when we land where we land, that's exactly where we need to be. And so it just takes maturity. Before we go in, because I guess, like I said, there's some questions here that I want to address. I want to hear your definition of love. So yeah, I would say, what's your definition of love? How do you define love? And how do you define Black love? Is it different or is it the same? Either of you. Coach? Coach? Doc? Doc?
Yeah. Love to me is you. I know that sounds kind of, whatever. What's that? Like, love to me is seeing you in everything and everybody that is. Love is a full embracing of yourself and all of your ways. I think that love is liberating because it's accepting and it's allowing, and it has to be courageous. The thing I believe about Black love is the most courageous, because even when we were forced not to love from colonized ways and things, I think that we still allowed it, and love was forgiving, and love is all those things. So Black love to me is very special because I think that the enemy comes after it. Like all love and all families, I think love is rooted in that which is family. And Black love has been tested and tried so many different ways and times again, but it always conquers and it always shows dominance. So that's what I think.
I love what you think, because I felt like you just dropped a bomb and my whole body's still vibrating when you said Black love is the most courageous, because Black people generally, and particularly in America, were basically trying the white people what is it? What they call it? Slave masters. Did everything in their power to break the spirit of the Africans, the enslaved Africans, and still to be able to love out of those kind of experiences. Yeah, that takes a lot of flipping courage. Thank you for that. Whew, I had to kind of like, she just dropped the word.
Thank you.
Doc, what's your definition of love and Black love? Is it the same? Is it different?
It is. For me, we are love. We are personified love. I think that one cannot help to be love, with the exception of doing the things we do that prevent love from naturally expanding, right? So we are love in physical form. That is how I see it, right? We get to take a glimpse of consciousness and express it through our own vehicles and vessels. But we are love. We are the essence of what it means to just be, right? And it's synonymous with Black love. I accept the word Black as being the color for the original people, right? So the original African people, descendants from African people, the first to show up in physical form as love in a physical expression. So Black love and love to me are synonyms, right? And so what is love? Love is a state and way of being. It's not a feeling and an action. Although you could show love, you could do love, but love for me is a beingness, and love is a synonym for me for Black love.
Who's got the mic? Because someone got the mic. I think the mic dropped. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Wow.
Yes, let's talk about the love of Black people, the love of self, and how this love invites us, sometimes forces us, nudges us to do the inner work. So I want to just stay with you, Dr. Curt. Tell us about your work and what you do, how you do it, and what makes it so unique.
He's the best. I love when he works. I just had to throw that out there. Oh my God, I love when he works.
Did you just put voice to your? Did you put your voice to your thoughts?
He's the best.
Look, you see how that works, Ade? You ask a serious question, and here come that play balance, right?
That is real.
Right.
That's that real.
So it's perfect that she just exhibited. So it gives me an opportunity to go into a space where I don't have to intellectualize the question like, what did he just ask me?
Yes.
So we kind of, and she knows that. She knows me well enough to do it. I done forgot the damn question now playing with her.
See, you were trying to come like break down this medical terms and everything and show people you're good at it. Why you love it. It's just like, he's the best. What else do you need to know?
Right. I forget. Right.
I want to know how you express your bestness through your beingness with Black people as a psychotherapist.
Yes. So I have the wonderful privilege to remind people of who they are, right? On an inner level, right? And to also remind them that the things that they may be experiencing in physical form is a manifestation of moving past who they are. And my job is to help them get on a trajectory to go back to the initial remembering of who they are, right? And that takes a few different modalities depending on the person and the situation. So in essence, I get to teach, and to teach, is out of education, which is educare, I think, and that means to tap what's already within.
Yes.
I may have messed up that Latin word.
It's the drawing forth what's already within, so you're drawing out the essence already there.
Correct. And so I've done that as a classroom teacher. It was done to me. And so it's just something that I'm grateful that I'm able to do. And I get to do it in a manner that people trust me with some of their most trying things that they've been through, things that have happened to them. And so me being a psychologist, serving in the capacity of therapist and the counselor, it just allows me to go back and teach. And most of the teaching is reminding people of who they are before the incident occurred. Who they are outside of their lived experiences, who they are outside of their thoughts and their feelings. And I've been doing this for a while, and it's probably, and it lines up with my purpose, which is who I am expressed professionally.
Okay, so I want to ask you something particularly, I want to stay with you for a minute. The work that you do, you work with men, right?
Yes.
And there's some words that come to mind right now where, as it is in society, when we think of tenderness, when we think of vulnerability, when we think of gentleness, society would have us believe it's not synonymous to Black men. What are your thoughts about that? What have you learned from Black men that you work with?
So that's a great question. So a couple of things. I remind men of a couple of things. I always point out the distinction of imperialism and colonization, right? In terms of buying into this fragmented notion of what manhood is, and particularly what Black manhood is, right? So oftentimes we lock ourselves into these labels. And I tell men every day, don't work on being a great or better man. Be just a better human. Be a better spiritual being, right? And your manhood will fall under that. But to avoid vulnerability, tenderness, all of the things we've been shunned away from is you fragmenting a full expression of your humanity. So when you think that that's manhood, you're actually squeezing out all that you are out of 10%, and the other 90% of your humanity is being suppressed, and you wonder why you got to come see me, because I got to help you unsuppress that. You think it's called depression from a clinical standpoint. My job is to go back and remind you to give yourself permission to go the gamut of who you are, and not even let it be Black manhood or manhood in and of itself. Be a great human being And you get to pick and choose how you want to express that. Manhood, black manhood, father, son, partner. You get to define how that is on a need-to basis.
So I want to go to Coach Charlie. The thing about play and playfulness, which I really believe, I know that play is a spiritual practice, is a spiritual quality. As you were talking, what you were saying, Dr. Curtis, this idea that, being able to tap into ourselves, it requires play. We can't, because even the thing about seriousness, I was going to ask earlier, when you're saying serious, is it serious or is it just being more focused? Because, and then the other thing is, serious has a negative connotation. You're serious. You just don't even live. You got to live a little. So I wonder if what you're calling seriousness is more of a more focused, maybe it is serious as well. What do you think before I jump to?
It's actually fear. If it's still my turn, I'm sorry, baby. It's actually
to you, so don't apologize. You can come to me. I'm the one getting you in trouble.
Thank you for
serious. That. I know you're talking to him.
Seriousness, depending on if it's too, if it's kind of tipped over where it's not balanced, is fear expressed, right? Like there's a way your nervous system reminds you need to pay focused attention to this, right? The challenge becomes when it doesn't serve you. If you're too serious, that is the challenge, right? Some people are required to be serious, right? If you're delivering babies or you're a neurosurgeon, you can't be in that plan now. You got to be serious, right? So it's cool. I mean, but there's some brilliant neurosurgeons who can seamlessly work on that head and break, with the technical staff and the nurses and stuff, they can balance it fine. So I think being too serious a day is fear. Too serious is fear. I think serious is necessary, but too serious, like, is your nervous system way of saying, yeah, we got to control you or keep you safe, because last time you played too much, you got hurt. So be more serious, be the exact opposite. But that's just something that has to be worked through.
Yes.
Can I add on to that from my perspective? Because when I felt like it was directed to me, I think that the seriousness for me is focus and discipline. Mm-hmm. Because me being so playful, sometimes my head thinks so fast that it's hard for me to have discipline and focus, which is why I mastered improv. And I said, let me make this a career, because if I can do this really, really well and teach people how to be free in their playfulness, but at the same time, trust themselves. So I think that when I think of seriousness, I think of, I got to sit down and focus on this for a minute. I can't multitask. I can't make up something as I go along, because this is a procedure and it has protocols that I need to follow. So also I think that sometimes when he mentioned fear, I thought of me being a playful child and using play and laughter when I would stutter, because I'm a former stutterer. So I used to have fear, and I didn't used to get serious. I used to play. So play was a form of fear to me growing up. And even now, like when he decided to like really get serious with me, he was like, he held me tight. Like this is a real story. He held me tight next to a fireplace at a restaurant and said, don't laugh. I need you to look at me right now. Like, I just want to be with you more. Like, I want to spend more time with you. I want to like be with you. I'm gonna give you the 2020, but I came in 2019. But he was like, be serious, because he had to show me to focus and to be listening on what he was saying, because it wasn't a joke.
This is good stuff. I like this podcast. I got to listen every week.
and this is why we formed the Coach whole thing. I'm sure you'll get to that, but I know you had asked me a question before you.
No, that was great. That's great, because it actually, and there's a quote that I wanted to share. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet, Leslie, but just remind me if I forget, because I think it's important. And then we talk about love, and even when you said he held you tight and say, don't make a joke, just stay present, stay in your body. Stay in your mind. Don't check out with joke or laughter. You know, sometimes there are different ways we can check out. I know for me, not as much anymore. There were times when I want to check out and I get nervous, I just keep talking. I feel like as long as I'm talking, I can disconnect and folks ain't going to know. But I've learned to sometimes just say, be quiet, just listen. So there are things we use, masks that we wear to hide. I want to stay with you with the play. You know, play, as we said earlier, we're usually associated with children. So you as a play activist, and where adults are like, I ain't got time to play. I got kids to take care of. I got bills. And, you know, I'm too grown for doing play. How do you navigate, or what is it like to present to people who normally would say they don't do play, but you take them through a playful session and they end up feeling probably even more better than they did before they came in? What do you learn from that experience? So there's a lot of question in there, so feel free to go wherever you want.
Yeah. Oh,
you do it, what you learn from it.
But it's okay, because you know I can follow, because that's how my mind works, right?
And if you can't, you can improv.
You already know. Yes, and that is what I'm gonna do. So when you ask me, what is it that I see in adults when I'm trying to get them to play? I think I'm paraphrasing or something like that. But I see that when they leave a session of play or even training with me, that they feel more comfortable being themselves. I use a lot of techniques of improvisation, laugh therapy. I use different ways of voice play and connection. So the thing with play for me is it allows you to step out of your head and realize that you're here to have a good time. There is no right or wrong. The thing about play that I realize with adults, that they know that they realize is that they are bringing their adult experiences into a play format, so it allows them to be more easy with that adult experience. So if I say that we're about to make up a scene about a husband and wife fighting over bills and his oatmeal is cold, someone may really resonate with that and volunteer to do that.
I can resonate with cold oatmeal. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. That's a problem.
Exactly. So you just throw out this ridiculousness and you allow them to grow with their imagination and create with their experiences and tap into their emotions. Play has so many aspects that I could talk about it every day. I do. I can play every day. I do. What it allows me to do is it allows me to feel lighter. It allows me not to take myself so serious, not to take life so serious. And I can only imagine if I really had children, how fun their life would be. So for people and adults like parents who find they don't have time to play, I've come and worked with parents and kids in an improv workshop, and they find a connection. So play builds connection. I've never seen two kids in the sandbox mad because one of them looks different. They're connecting with the item, which is the sandbox.
Yes.
So it just forms so much. It helps you build your communication. I can elaborate, but the workshops that I've started to do virtually during the pandemic have been necessary for people all over the world, because we've been disconnected. So when I started founding a group, an organization called the Global Play Brigade, it allowed me to understand people's real struggles in different countries, the burdens that they share, and instead of them having emotions, I created a game called We Motions, because when you feel, I feel.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So on another level, though, you may be messing with Dr. Curtis's money, because you're getting people to feel so good they have no need to see him. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, he actually focuses on the past, and I focus on the future. So and
then you meet in the middle as couples.
Exactly. So when you get the balance, you get a therapist and a coach, because you gotta embrace it all.
Yeah, my mind's going other places now. Let me stay with this show. We have a question in here, and I think you both have sort of spoken to it. Jennifer wanted to know, Dr. Curt, how, I guess you can still answer it, how has your playfulness come into your therapy work with clients?
Good question. So I actually make it one of my biggest intentions to inject playfulness into the session. I actually start off with it. So I'll come with the high energy right in the session, whether they're at my office or we're doing Zoom. So as soon as that video clear, I'm like, what's up, man? Or what's good? And tell me what's good, right? And they usually have something heavy on their hearts. But I come in like, we'll get to that, right? Yeah. And so I actually put them in a space to tell me something good, laughing, being intentional about my projecting in the camera. So I do that for two reasons: to create a space that they can sort of balance out emotionally, and to raise my own energy. Because keep in mind that I see clients all day, but I got my own challenges. So part of me raising my energy is so that we can meet in the middle. Client here and me here. So I've injected it just any opportunity that they can tell me something that's borderline horrific, and not to dismiss it, but I'll find some type of playfulness under there to kind of, as you use, they shift their nervous system and their emotional so they can kind of step back. It was like, oh, okay, that wasn't too bad. I mean, now that it was pretty funny though. So I've actually learned a lot from Coach Charlie about how to infuse playfulness and laughter in my practice. So it's been going well too.
That's awesome, because play connects us with our joy, and joy is our strength. Joy keeps us flexible and resilient, so that's very important. So Jennifer has a similar question for you. I love how she flipped it. She said, Coach Charlie, how has your seriousness come into your play leadership work?
Oh, a lot of ways. It allows, my seriousness has allowed me to establish boundaries, has allowed me to establish freaking a letterhead. Hey, just simple things, right? Things to sit down and create, right? My seriousness in my play and my leadership work has also allowed me to have more of a listening ability. Instead of me being so quick to respond because I know how, because I do improv, and that's the trick to respond quick, is allowed me to sit still and really listen and ask better questions.
Yeah. And we're going to come back to the work that you do together, the Coachapy, but I want to stay with this sort of romantic channel to express love that is a state of being, right? There are many stories, narratives, myths about the relationship between a Black man and a Black woman. I have most of my clients are females. I have a lot of female friends, and I hear that there is, basically no good Black man, or, I'm sure you've heard the narrative. They're either the good Black man. Well, there's no good Black man. They're either in jail or something, or married. People talk about
jail, gay, dead, or married.
That's right. Which is to even.
It's a lie.
Say more about that. Did you ever subscribe to that? And what are some of the challenges you experience in surrendering to the love and the tenderness you were feeling from Dr. Curt when you had to just say, okay, let me give this a try? So the first part is, did you ever subscribe to the narrative of the dead, gay, in jail, or married? And the other part is, what process did you have to go to surrender to this Black man who's saying, look at me. No joke. I got you.
Well, no, I never subscribed to that. I've always been a person who likes to see the good in everything. There's always a way to fix it or add to it to make it better. So I never subscribed to the whole dog, dead, jail, gay, married. I even found myself having conversations about that to let people know, like, even men, like, when they're like, I'm a dog, I ain't gonna be nothing, no, you are not. You're something more than that. So I think that I know that I've always had a positive outlook on any and everything. when it comes to the Black man, I know that it's a necessary thing. It's a necessary part of my life. I have a father who was in and out. So when you ask about the surrendering of a Black man, I wasn't used to the consistency that Dr. Curt gave. So from having a father who wasn't consistent in my younger years and expecting to be let down, I really had a huge wall up. So my surrendering had to come from within, to be able to trust, not from like someone cheating on me or something like that, but to trust that they could do all the things that they said they was going to do, number one, and then do all the things that I expected. And what I also learned about submitting to a real Black king was to understand that it may not always go my way, because he's an individual, and I have to learn to trust. Again, the word comes up, to trust his leadership. And that's one thing that made the decision easy for me, because I could tell that he was a great leader. And he was really big on community and helping people. So having him help people through self-recognition and self-love and acceptance and different perspectives. He's the master of the different perspectives. And he gave that to me. So I was able to surrender and be more secure with knowing that he's telling me something that he wants me to see different, or to help me see myself differently. So that was huge for me. And that was like amazing. Thanks, babe. Seriously. every day I think about it, because it's something that changed my world. You know, not saying I've never been with a great black man, but it ain't never been this great. I just say I ain't never been with a good Black man, but I ain't never been this great. You know?
they were good. He's great.
Yeah, you know.
And together you're greater.
Yes.
I want to stay with you for a minute, because people say, I can't get into a relationship right now. I'm working on myself, and I get that. I get the idea. And part of working on self is being in the relationship, because there's some things that's going to come up in the relationship that you will have no access to while you're working with yourself and lighting your Palo Santo and your sage. Sometimes you just get in the mud and like.
Hey, Dr. Curt, he actually got a line for that. Say it. I love it. Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, was there a time where you started to suffer? Like, I think I can surrender to him.
I just did it just now.
No. Hold on. There's a flip to the question.
Oh, no.
And maybe he ended up doing something that looked to you like, oh, nope, he looks like those other guys, or like what he said, what he did, that made you maybe hesitant. But in the process of surrender, sometimes, I don't want to say tested, but sometimes things happen that make us go, maybe this idea of surrendering wasn't a good idea. But you eventually have to bring yourself back to the truth. Like, snap out of it, girl. This is just your past trying to contaminate your present moment.
I dare you hit me. I didn't know you was going that deep. See, I tried to derail it, because I'm like, this is about to get hot.
I am playful, but I'm focused about my conversations.
I see this. I'm like, man, he good. I'm gonna take some classes with you all day. This is good. All right. So yes, I did find moments of that, but it was like you said, my past creeping up and my own conditioning. From who I was running from, because again, like I said, the challenge of being with him was evident. Like, this is going to be challenging. He's going to not allow you to skate by like the teachers did in high school, see work, blah blah blah. But
so you said you knew he wasn't going to let you hide.
Yes, he was not going to let me half do it. He was not going to let me treat him a certain way, and that's when that, whoa, do I want to do this come up? Like, I'm not gonna be able to have my way. So when we were dating in that year, and I was like always moving, I was trying to see him. I'm like, I'm just gonna stop by. So he's like, no, ain't no stop by. Like, you come in and spend some time or not. Like, and that really sticks with me, because even when I'm trying to talk with you and he's like, let him finish, you know, it's always moments of stop playing, listen, so you can get all of it. Because if you don't get it all, you won't have it all. Like if you don't give it all your attention, you can't get all of the reward. So when you say listen, because the question about to flip. So that's a true testament to two wonderful, strong Black men that I know and I'm looking at right here, you know. So yeah, those moments come up, and that is me being a baby. Because even when he told me that, like, I know you just can't stop by and see me, you know, you're gonna spend time with me, I'm not gonna play these games. I cried. I cried because I was like, you don't want to see me? He like, no, I just want to spend more time with you. I'm not no pass by type of dude.
I'm no booty call. We ain't coming in there.
It wasn't even that time. We wasn't even there.
You coming in to get some and then, okay, boo, I'm good. Nuh-uh.
We were literally dating. So we wasn't doing that stuff right there. But yes, I'm not a booty call to lift you emotionally and to tell you how pretty you look. That type of booty call. Like, I'm not here to just see you and you go on in the wind and do whatever you want. No. So I had to understand that those moments come up for me because it's been so long. I've been raised a certain way and taught certain things in my own experiences based on the lower quality man, or even not even being a higher quality woman. Because I can't even put it on the people, because if I didn't have it, I couldn't receive it. Right?
Say that again.
I hope I answered your question. I'm done. Woo!
It's okay, baby. I ain't trying to put your business in the street, but I am, so other people can heal.
But that's what it's about. Like, he literally had room. He had the strength and the courage to say, I'm going to tell you what it is for me. I'm not scared to lose you. I want to get this for you. And what you said in the beginning was you got to get revealed in relationships. And I was telling him to say his line, because he was like, when you get broken in a relationship, you got to heal in a relationship. And I'm going to drink my water.
So let's drink to that. So there is a line that your beloved wants you to share, and Dr. Curt, and I want to add this question from Keisha on Instagram. She said, what was your process for preparing for Coach Charly? Charly, did he have to surrender something? What did you have to surrender? What was your process in preparing for this relationship? What caused you to get to a point where you were saying, I used to like a little bit of booty call here and there because they had no responsibility. But this time, if you're coming around, you're staying around. We're having breakfast in the morning.
Yeah. So good question, Keisha. So I have been in practice on the healing journey for many years now, right? That's not to suggest that I haven't been through things on my healing journey. I still was. And so when Charly came into my life, it took me a minute because I wasn't trusting, right? I didn't actually even want to trust. I kind of wanted to be in limbo just because, right? So what did I have to surrender? I had to just allow things to flow organically, which was sort of out of my comfort zone. I had standard practice, and I get up, I do a routine in the morning. I don't do much spontaneity before Charly came into my life for a little while, but I knew I needed to settle down and heal because I had been running in different areas years before Charly showed up in my life, and so that one thing I had to, and what was resistant is her level of play. I didn't trust it at first, right? So I had to surrender to that, right? I'm like, okay, I looked at her willingness to play more times than not as being her level of maturity or lack thereof, and it wasn't. It was healing. It was a lot of things. But it was professional. It was healing. It was naturalness. It was lightness. It was spirituality. But for me, where I've come, the tough times I come up in, it's like, look, you're gonna get us killed and robbed and kidnapped. Like, we can't be playing. We can't be
America. Stop playing.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, Like, look, man, I'm a black man. Like, they catch me laughing with you, we're gonna get robbed out here, right? So I had to just trust though. And what I found is when I surrendered, she not only she was playful in and of herself. No one's stopping that. But she allowed me to play even on the level that I like to, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll be doing something serious and she'll try to bring play in my space. To me, I thought she was trying to take over and sabotage, but she was actually trying to meet me halfway to say, dude, lighten up. And so those are some things I had to surrender, right? Like she'll ask me something serious and be joking. And so she's really good about balancing that. So my surrender is I had to allow more times than I initially wanted to engage with her.
Yes. What I'm hearing is, it is subtle, but we must be responsible for our own healing. Correct. So that what we need when it shows up, there's a space, a willingness to kind of look at it. Maybe not embrace it yet, to kind of, okay, let me lean into this. Because if we're not doing the inner work, as Coach Charlie said earlier, if I don't have it, I can't receive it. If we don't understand the vibration, the energy of what we're looking for, when it shows up, we're going to judge it, we're going to criticize it. But something in us recognize, yes, I do need to be more focused, more serious. I do need to be more playful. And it's that spiritual practice that makes us available, which really is rooted in love. I want to share a quote by James Baldwin, which I think really what you two are talking about is demonstrating this, and it's the power of love. And Leslie, can you flash that? Thank you. So it's smaller than I thought. I need some assistance. I need to love myself enough to know that I need backup. So James Baldwin said, love takes off the masks that we fear we cannot live without, and know we cannot live within. I use the word love here not merely in the personal sense, but a state of being or a state of grace. Not in the infantile American sense of being made happy, but in the tough and universal sense of quest and daring and growth. That's James Baldwin. That brother is deep. He's a wisdom keeper. And I want to hear what you two have to say about this quote. You can remove it now, Leslie. Is Leslie frozen or something? I think she's frozen. I'm like she's having a deep thought. Okay, so what are your thoughts on that quote? I
agree. I live by the notion, the knowingness that love is a state of being, and I also know that there is masks that prevent that. Right? Mm-hmm. I often share with my clients that if we just stop doing the things we do to prevent the natural flow of love, mm-hmm. it will be realized, right?
Yes.
And so there, like joy and well-being, those are natural states. Like we impede them with the things, but there is a naturalness in terms of joy and well-being. But love being a beingness, you get to be love. Right.
Yes,
it's a be love, and the only way you can't be love or can't be witnessed as love, in my opinion, today, is when you have that mask on. Yes. Right? Is when you have that, like whatever that mask is, too much or too little of whatever it is that's preventing you from exuding who you are, which is love, as a beingness. No question about that. So that's how I took the quote. I love Baldwin. He's a magical, like you said, vessel of wisdom. Yes. You can't play with James Baldwin. You gotta be ready for that.
You're gonna disappear. You're gonna transcend.
Exactly.
Or you're gonna defend if you can't handle it, because he hits you. I mean, that mask will melt.
Yeah, he punches you in the face with his words, like
right, and massages your throat while he punches you in the face. Right. Like, you give me throat? No, right. I'll punch you in the face.
Right.
Coach Charlie, what are your thoughts on that quote?
I like Baldwin because he's a radical, and that's what I think of when I think of love, because it has no bounds, it has no one way of being, because it is within its own self. I'm glad you flashed it back up, because what resonated with me was the quest, to go wherever and to want to grow, because like I was saying earlier, change is challenging.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to allow love to evolve. And that's why I think like it's so radical. And I mean, like y'all said, James Baldwin is the bomb, and he's gonna take you to different dimensions. He touched on the earth, he touched on the soul, he touched on so much. He touched on the lies of love.
Yes.
And I think that when you accept love for being that, with something with no boundaries and no criteria and no one definition, then you're able to be love and give love freely.
On an intellectual level, almost the whole world would say, yes, we need more love in the world. But I'm throwing this question, any of you can answer, both of you can answer as well. Why are we afraid of love? Because some people would say, well, we're not afraid of love, but if you're putting on masks, you obviously don't want to see love. If you have to use something to protect yourself, then there is a fear of it. But maybe I'm the one that don't understand. Are we afraid of love?
I don't think that we're afraid of love, right? Okay. I think that there is a huge amount of people who have been experienced some challenging times as a result of being on their love journey for whatever reason, right? I don't think you could be afraid of your natural state. People have trusted love in a fragmented way and have been have received some discomfort of that, but love is a way of being. To be afraid of who you are on a deeper being level, I think is not really a thing. I think when people say they're afraid of love, they're afraid of their notion of love and how they have more direct and indirect experiences of how it didn't turn out so well. And so they assign the experience to the actual state of being. And I think we need to just spend more time uncollapsing that.
Yes.
So that's just my opinion.
Because what you're saying there, what it makes me think of is oftentimes when we talk about love, we associate it with romance. So if a romantic relationship worked out, then love is great. But if it didn't work out, someone betrayed you or something really, walked away with money or business or whatever the case may be, then we say, oh, don't trust this thing called love. And as you said, if we don't see it as a way of being, then it's kind of like, no, I'm keeping my love to myself. Anyway, Coach Charlie, you want to add to that? Are we afraid of it, or we just don't understand it, or whatever you want to share?
When you asked the question, two words came to my mind, which was rejection and acceptance. And I think that when you think of fear, is normally around the two. Like, can I accept this? Am I afraid to accept who I wholly and truly am? And am I afraid that they're going to reject who I truly and solely am? So I think it's kind of like it's almost like an oxymoron. It's like how could you be afraid of something that you are, unless it's really an underlining tone of acceptance or rejection.
Yes. So I looked at the time and I'm like, oh no, that's not the time. How is that even possible? So I'll use that idea of time that's focusing me to not to be too playful with my question that I forget time. So let's talk about what you two are doing together. You've shared your personal experience, your professional experiences with us, and together you have something you call Coachapy. Can you tell us about that, Coach Charlie?
I'll let Dr. Curt start first.
Go ahead, he asked you.
Let's see what he gonna say. So to me,
I love the transparency.
Coachapy is, since I'm a coach and he's a therapist, we are bringing our education and our experiences together to serve individuals and couples who want to focus in on the things that we're talking about: loving themselves, healing themselves, growing themselves. And when you're with a couple, you have to focus on that first. Like I said earlier, Dr. Curt really focuses on healing the past traumas, and I focus on setting up your future endeavors and getting you to that point. And if it's a couple, then we actually focus on couple things as well, to where they are building a more purposeful, passionate, and powerful relationship that increases a number of things.
Dr. Curt, you want to add anything to that?
I don't have much a day. It's just our way, as Coach mentioned, we just combine forces to make a more authentic, user-friendly, personalized approach to healing. And oftentimes I found that there's healing. All of us are on a healing recovery journey, no exceptions to that, right? That's just my personal opinion. So some of us are healing from playing too much. Some of us are healing from being too serious. Some of us are healing from heartbreak and traumas and devastation. But nonetheless, we're always on the journey of recovering, healing from something externally and internally. So we've been able to make it fun and serious, and provide that synthesis of, hey, this is very doable. Like, you can do both. You can have both. You are both. And we patched it up and took it to the marketplace. So that's what we got.
It's almost like you do the soul surgery on the mind, and Coach Charlie is the one that puts what is not painkiller, but the thing to kind of soothe it after surgery. Like, take these things today. So look at it, feels better. It didn't hurt so bad.
Exactly.
And it also gives if we're serving couples and or individuals, the perspective of a woman and a man, because sometimes he's, sounds like he's more understanding of the woman and vice versa. So when couples come to us, they're like, well, he this, and I'm like, but you this. So I'm calling out woman stuff because I can recognize it based on my experience and knowing this, and saying with him. So we give them those dual perspectives to increase their communication, to make their connection stronger. Because when you have two perspectives and two people telling two stories, now we're telling you how we see it and how you can fix it and work at it. And if the couples are local, we even offer them to come out on dates with us. So that's a part of our package programs too. Like, we give you the hands-on Dr. Curt and Coach Charlie energy to,
to feel it.
Yeah.
I think y'all just need to add a camera to this, and you got a show.
Definitely.
Right.
For callers. So tell Tyler, Ade, tell somebody over there to call us. Matter of fact, we're going to be on your show when you get your show.
I love what you said. Tell them to call you. That's what I'm talking about. Talking about a woman who knows her worth. It's like, you don't mind calling them, but yes. So there is a comment in here which brings up a question for me. And then I want to talk about, we don't even have a lot of time, but I want to talk about therapy, because there's a little story like, I ain't going to nobody tell me about my life. They don't know nothing about my life. And then there's the other thing of black people don't trust therapists, or you don't need therapy, you just need Jesus. You just need to get close to God. So I want to kind of leave that there for a minute and respond. And I think I'm going to ask Coach Charlie a question from this comment. I get to it. Slow down. So Kwali said, when my future husband put his hands on my heart to make me feel his love, because I wasn't trying to go there, I knew then he was the person for me. No man had ever cared before that point. What I get from that is there is an opportunity for us as men, and particularly black men and men in general, that whether we want to admit it or not, that there's a responsibility for us to help, assist, support a woman in being safe. And we can't help someone be safe if we're not safe within our own self. That's why we need to do the work. That's why we need therapy. I'm going to come to you, Dr. Curt, about the therapy part. But Coach Charlie, what would you say? Because I know I have more female listeners of audience, right? It's more female based. What would you say to women who are feeling like, yeah, I want to surrender. I want to let go. My heart has been broken too many times. I want to love again. But I just don't think I can because I don't think there is a man willing to meet me where I'm at.
Mm. He is, and he will. When you are more compassionate with yourself and forgiving with yourself. I wrote my first book 10 years ago called Not Becoming a Bitter Woman. And you get that on Amazon as well. And that really was a book of my healing and saying to the world that I've been hurt, but I forgive myself, I forgive them, and I won't take my love away from the world because it's too worthy. Like the world is worth this love because it's so great. God gave it to me. So to trust yourself to allow a man to put his hands on your heart, you have to love yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You have to be compassionate with yourself. You have to remove the my type from your head as well. So sometimes we get caught up in the old us, but want something new. Right. And I said that earlier, like Dr. Curt wasn't having me have my old ways of being in my old relationships to trample over his standards and his boundaries. So prime example, I'm gonna leave it at this. The other day for a Valentine's Day, he had made a post and the words just blew me away. I didn't even want to share my pictures after seeing his. I just shared his whole post, which said, our position as a Black man is our main thing, our main position in the world or something like that as Black men is to love, honor, protect, care for, support our women, our Black women, or something like that. You gotta go to the post and check it out. Go to his page or my page.
I actually saw it, and I was giving that post a dab, like that's
you
true.
saw it, yeah. And it was like because we were having a good time, looking nice in our red, and he was like partying, and I'm like looking all sexy in the camera, and that is what he allowed me to do. To remain in my feminine grace, remind me, even when I didn't remain in it, remind me that I had it, and that would soften him and make sure that I'm able to soften myself because he got me, just like you said. So being able to surrender to my own self, my own thoughts, my old ways, and trust the fact that I have to allow a Black man, a real man, to lead.
Boy, I feel like we just did an introduction with this show. So I think we haven't even gotten to the conversation yet. But anyway, Dr. Curt, talk to us, I know, just with the time that we have, because I want to ask you another question. This idea, why is it important to have a therapist? And why is it important to have a therapist that looks like me, that understands us?
So a million reasons, but the ones that I'd like to share that, therapy is your way of honoring yourself, right? It's no different than going to a dentist or your pediatrician for your children or going to see your attorney or your accountant during tax time. It's your way of really, really being honorable to who you are. We attribute therapy to a colonized Western mental health, medical, industrialized approach. So it doesn't really resonate with us as Black people, not realizing that we've always had at least one person that could create a safe space to hear us, to pose questions, to allow us to go inside, and then to gently guide us towards a journey of healing, whether that was Big Mama or a coach or somebody that we look to. So what I offer people, nobody wants to go to therapy. I didn't want to go to therapy. Like no one is there, right? And so there's a number of things that get in the way of therapy, right? The whole notion of Black people going to church and saying it's not for us and white people. I find that to be a small percentage nowadays, right? We are all clear about the importance of therapy. whether you went to sit on someone's couch or not, right? I have 14-year-old black boys who like, yeah, I heard of it. What we don't have is readily accessibility to therapists, right? It's one thing to have black therapists who are culturally competent. It's another thing to have the resources to go sit in a therapist's office, right? Because therapy ain't cheap. Like all of our, everybody ain't going to the dentist. And you can have the best dental insurance, there's still an out-of-pocket component. So there's some barriers that get in the way of black people even receiving a therapeutic care that we minimalize to saying, or just talk about it, just go to therapy. No, if therapy was more accessible, more resourceful, more people would go, right? So we hang on these sound bites of propaganda of what therapy is. I get calls every single day from black people about receiving, men, women, young folks, all the time. All the time. People know the importance in this day and age of seeing a professional counselor or therapist, right? They just do. Now, it's like anything else, you got to find your person. You go to a doctor, you want one who has an excellent customer service and bedside manner. All family physicians ain't for you for whatever reason, right? So the number one determining factor in terms of your healing journey is finding a therapist that's your person, like y'all resonate. And oftentimes that takes a few sessions, that takes some research, that takes you following them on social media for a few months, right? I have clients that said, I have followed you for 2 years before I picked up the phone and called you. For 2 years. So therapy is not a taboo thing of no, we know. I work with boys every Saturday. They know about therapists without. Conceptually is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's not as far-fetched for black people as the media or as we as black people are even making. It's just not. We don't all have the money. It's people call me like, can I pay you $25 a week? You know, I don't have it. I know I need it. I don't have it. It's a pandemic, right? And so during the pandemic, so I give you a quick story, I'll wrap it up. Pandemic in and of itself, particularly for black people who have been challenged economically, feels like depression. Right? There's a pandemic energy that's zapping people that feels like depression. Right? There's people who haven't been outside in weeks, and they're like, "Oh, I'm depressed." I'm like, "It's a pandemic." They're like, "Oh yeah."
They come for a 1 hour session and you answer in 30 seconds.
I say, "Go outside." When the last time you walked around the block? It's like weeks. Go outside. You can go outside.
Yeah, thank you. We're definitely going to continue this conversation. So I want to ask you, Coach Charlie. We all know, even if it's like you said, conceptually, we all know that to maintain relationship, any kind of relationship, and especially romantic relationship, that it calls for us to keep doing the work, to keep showing up, to keep challenging ourselves, to keep surrendering. We don't surrender one time and it's fine. Something else is going to come up. Because a romantic relationship is a gym. It's a spiritual gym where you have to come every day to work out. Just because you did 10 yesterday don't mean you have to keep doing 10 for the rest of the week. You give me 100. What do you do to keep the energy, the vibration, the love, the spirit of your relationship alive and keep coming back into engaging? Coach Charlie?
Well, number one, I include activities because I create them. I like that. Is what my love language is. Number two, I create
what activities are we talking about?
Like just connection activities. So for example, one day I was asked, I had wrote a list of different types of movies, and just to go back and forth to see like what was your favorite childhood movie? What was your favorite scary movie? What's your favorite gangster movie? So it just stuff like that. Like I buy couples games and I interact because that's what I like to do. And I'm so grateful that he comes over into my world. And then like when I want to come over into his world, I'll pull up like a nice movie, a documentary or something, because he likes to learn and do those things. So that's one thing that I like to be intentional about interjection. Cooking really allows me to express and explore different ways that we connect, because he's a vegan and I'm not. So I'm able to create. I like to create. So when you ask me what's the one thing I do, I create. Sometimes I have to create space for him to be alone, and have his time, because he likes to go inside and read and do things. And sometimes I'm just too loud.
You're like, I want to go outside and play. It's like,
Yeah.
right now. Come on, let's go outside and play. Not right now.
Exactly. So like during the pandemic, we were living together for some of those months. I had to learn to adjust. So in the midst of me creating, I'm adjusting, and I'm also being open enough to, have tough conversations, to confront and be able to understand and grow and listen. And he helps me with that so well. So we really co-create the action that keeps our relationship flourish. Like he likes going to the gym, taking pictures at the gym. So we make that a whole thing where we put workout videos together, and
yes, I hear it. So anything you want to add? What do you do to keep the relationship alive, the energy, the vibe, and to make sure that you're showing up as your best self in the relationship?
That's exactly what you said. I just work on me, and I allow it to be revealed when we get together, right? So I work on making sure that my energy is okay. I work on being balanced, rest, the basic stuff. I work on just being safe and well-being holistically. And then when we show up, when we choose to be intentional about coming together, I get to reveal my best self. And when I'm not at my best, I get to take a time out, right? If I show up and I'm not at my best, I'm going to project that onto her, right? I'm going to, and vice versa. We know each other well enough to create healing space to be like, okay, so I'll talk to you later, or you go take a nap, or things of that nature. But what I find is I have to be authentically me and allow her to be authentically her. And as you said, Ade, we still can heal in this relationship. People are like, oh, I need to be by myself. Well, there's certain things that you only can get by way of being in relation. And so once we increase the safety and security, the intimacy, it just flourished on its own.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, y'all are definitely coming back, whether you like it or not. Because I got questions for days. In my head, I'm like, no, we don't have time to ask that question. No, you can't ask that question. Just wrap it up. I'm like, okay.
Thank you, Ade.
Questions.
So you asked some great questions. We're so happy to join you for this hour and a half. I'm sure the viewers are loving it. Thank you all for being here. It's good. We're coming back.
Oh, you're coming back. I'm going to just say whether you like it or not. That don't mean nothing, because you get to say yes or no, but I'm just going to pretend. I'm going to tap into my masculinity. Y'all coming back. Hypersensitive much? So this is your moment to talk about what you're doing, how people can find out more about your culture P, how people can reach you. Maybe you're doing an event that you want people to know about. Just plug away.
You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Charlie Ford or Charlie Ford Entertains. And what I'm working on now is my next event that I'm doing is a love letter lounge on the globalplaybrigade.org. You can sign up and register for that, which is this Thursday. And what we'll be doing is writing letters to people. And it's a bunch of great activities I've created. And I have a co-facilitator. So that's one thing I'm doing. I'm also a part of the Going Live show, which is a new sketch comedy show that we'll be dropping and producing soon with Black Lipstick Productions and Kinship Studios. Of course, you can check my YouTube out and see some of my clips. Another thing that I'm working on.
Channel? I think did I miss it? Charlie
Ford.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Use a Fool Too for my improv comedy troupe.
Hey, don't call me out on my show now. Oh, that's the name of your show. Oh,
so Use a Fool Too, and Use a Fool improv comedy show will probably be starting back up as well soon. But the next thing that I'm really excited to be working with is a yoga instructor partnership to teach children and parents improv. So if you're in Atlanta, that's what I'm doing. And of course, coaching. So if you need a creative empowerment coach, want to implement some things for your life, you want some support, that's what I'm doing. And coaching people with my babe. So that's it. Everything.
Coaching people with my babe. Hashtag we doing that. All right.
Doing it.
My brother.
So you can find me online at Curtis D. Jasper, Dr. Curtis D. Jasper on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Instagram is I am Dr. Curt, or Google search. You know, I'm on Psychology Today. I got videos out there, a few websites. I'm easy to find. The numbers that you see online come directly to me. So feel free to call me directly. Other than that, I do a lot. Obviously, I have a private practice where I do family counseling, couples counseling, and one-on-one counseling, but I also serve in a corporate capacity. I work with mental health with corporations. I serve in a consulting capacity, working with nonprofits, whether they're serving the community, activism, mentoring, things of that nature. So I do a combination of teaching, speaking, lecturing, and guidance, all from I like to say, a mental wellness and emotional health approach, right? That's the thing, mental wellness and an emotional health approach. So find me online, call me directly. I'm just here to serve.
So basically, go to your website too, drcurtisdjasper.com.
Yes, sir.
You dig?
You the man, eternal growth.
Right.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed you both. Like I said, I really feel like I could keep going on. I just love the perspective that you bring, and I look forward to you coming back. I just honor and celebrate you for the work you're doing, and just being an example of what is really true, and being the face of what is true in Black community, that we do know how to love one another, that we are doing our work. And tenderness is not foreign to us. Being vulnerable is part of our life. I mean, life has brought us to a place where we have no choice but to be tender,
Sure.
to be gentle, in order to get up and start over again. And thank you for the love that you're sharing in the world, and reminding people that love is a state of being. It ain't just a feeling.
Right.
I've so enjoyed this. Kwali said, she said, another great one, Ade. Thank you, Coach Charlie and Dr. Curt, Ade and Leslie. Thank you, Kwali. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, beautiful people. I appreciate you, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with you both.
Thank you, Ade. Thank you so much for all the work you do, all the light you shed, and all the love you give. Thank you, my brother.
Appreciate you so much.
You're welcome. I love to talk about love. I love. That's what I do. That's who I be. I be it. And there's not much to say really. I have questions, but there's nothing else to say at this moment. So I just want to thank all of you, and I invite you several things. One, you may have received aha moment. Yes, exactly, Rebecca. Maybe you had an aha moment. You had a new awareness, new understanding about yourself, about your relationship. Maybe somebody that came into your life who actually was bringing you what you wanted or needed, but you didn't quite see then, and now you see it. And somehow you're recognizing, oh, I didn't have it. Like Coach Charlie said, if I don't have it, how can I receive it? So maybe you need to make a call. Maybe you need to forgive yourself. And if you need to support, I'm here to support you. You can check out my website, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. And yeah, I'm just going to do that, Leslie. Never mind, Leslie. I'm just going to do that. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. And if you don't do anything, if you don't reach out to Coach Charlie, Dr. Curtis, or reach out to me to support you, what I will say is, whatever insight, awareness, understanding, clarity you receive from this conversation, milk it. apply it, translate it into action. Don't just put it in your journal. Ask yourself, how can I live this out? How can I live this out? Where in my life do I need to be a little bit more revealing, more authentic, more naked? And the more you practice that, the more you live that, the more you develop the muscle. So if you're not in a relationship, you at least create the space for you when the person shows up. Thank you, Keisha. Keisha said that was fantastic. I know, right? Anything else, Leslie? I think that's everything other than thanking you, Leslie, for all you're doing behind the scenes. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you. I'll be back next week, and I'm searching my inner mind Rolodex. Mwah! I'm being silly because I can see the lovers doing their love thing. Anyway, yeah, I see you. Can y'all stop kissing back there? Don't make me come in that room. Anyway, people, I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. And I invite you to take this consciousness and do what with it? I invite you to multiply it. Peace and blessings.
Yeah, yeah. When we